Yeah, all right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, Wahar HaKodash, which Yahweh, that's the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahushai, that's whom this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, it's his true name, and the HaKodash, that is the Holy Spirit. And I would like to also give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there. I just want to do a quick lesson. It's a little impromptu lesson that's based off of my 2 days of training, okay? Last night, I ended up going to, jiu-jitsu, doing my thing, with the brothers. And today, I randomly went to the park during my break. I was working out. Ended up chatting to some Ephraimite who was a pretty cool cat. And, showed me a couple things real quick. Had a couple questions for him. He gave me some pointers. All right. But point being, though, is, you got to continue to improve and also upgrade yourself in this truth. Okay? You see? You cannot be stagnant. And now the Lord, he's going to make you work on particular things in your walk, okay? You're going to be forced to do these things, you see? And if not, the Lord, he's going to punish you. The Lord is going to definitely, definitely judge you for these things, all right? And with that being said, one thing that the Lord told me to do, I would say about a year ago now, roughly. I can't remember the exact time frame, but it was about a year ago. I was asking the Lord, basically, what are some things that I need to improve in? What are some things that I need to touch and tackle? And, the Lord put in my mind the two things that I have to do is, one, which I haven't been able to do as of yet, but Lord willing, if we're still in this kingdom, I'm going to accomplish this. But the Lord told me to start a business. That was one thing. The second thing is to go train with the brothers. And that's what I've been doing. I've been, training mainly under the Elder Uriah, for some months. I forgot exactly when I started, getting close to a year now. And, I feel completely renewed, okay? I feel, invigorated and also upgraded. This has, changed my spirit, for the better, okay? And this is something that, we all must do in this walk. And I'll say this, when you first start doing something that's new, right? Or you start changing, it doesn't feel comfortable. Those first steps are always very, very uncomfortable. But as you become more hardened, you become more trained, you become more knowledgeable, these things feel amazing. Okay? You see? All right? And like I said, this is something that we all must do in this walk. All right? But let me start off with this. This is 2 Corinthians 5. I'm going to start here at 16. It says, "Wherefore henceforth know we no man after the flesh? Yea, though we have known Yahushai after the flesh, yet now henceforth know we him no more. Therefore, if any man be in Yahushai, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new." Okay? And you see, that old man has to go. You got to become that new man. And like I said, there's several things and numerous things, really infinite amount of things that you can work on as an individual. Now you have to ask yourself, what do I need to, improve on? You got to ask the Lord, what should I do in my walk? Please guide me. Make me a better man, and best believe Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is going to answer your prayers. Okay? You see? But you can't neglect these things. You can't be afraid to ask for this just because you're scared of change, because you're, afraid of being uncomfortable. No. You can't do that. You got to get better. And it's a battle. It's a fight. Like even last night, during the day, I was exhausted. I didn't even really want to go get out there and go train. But, I forced myself to do it. Ended up being a very mighty session, okay? A very, very mighty session, all right? Even right now, I'm a little sore from jiu-jitsu, but, I had a little extra time, right now in the afternoon to go work out. And I said, you know what? Let me get my workout in at this park because I really don't have time tonight. And I, did what I had to do, did my pull-ups, my dips, my sit-ups, rows, etc. Now I feel great. I feel like I'm ready to conquer. You see? You just got to, push yourself to get over that hump. Okay? Let me get this. I think it's do good unto thyself. I believe that's in Sirach. I forgot how it's exactly worded. But these things, okay, are beneficial to you. All right? Don't neglect, activities or acts, whatever you want to say, right? You don't want to neglect the things that are going to improve you. All right? Oh man, how is it worded? I think it is in Sirach 12. There we go. Right here. This is Sirach 14 and 11. My son, according to thy ability, do good to thyself and give the Lord his due offering. So according to your ability, do good to yourself. All right? Eat healthy. Go work out. If you're able to get some, some new clothes, get it. Some cologne, oils. Now, I'm not saying that you got to, break your bank account. But, hey, there's times where, you got to take care of yourself, You got to make sure, you're handling business. We're supposed to be at a high vibration. You see? There's other things too, man. Go read. This is the spiritual level, which first and foremost you should be taking care of this. All right. Go read, go pray, go fast. You don't need money for these things. Okay? And really, this is giving the Lord his due offering. All right? Which is at the end of the day benefiting you anyways. You see? You serve the Lord and it's going to benefit you. You just got to keep that flesh under subjection. That's what it is. Let me get that. How's it worded? Let me see if it's worded like this. Damn, I forgot how it's worded, but hold on. Maybe it's worded like this. Damn, man, I forgot how it's worded. But the scriptures, I'm roughly paraphrasing. Salaki, if I can't remember how it's exactly worded right now. But it talks about keeping your flesh under subjection. Okay, you got to do these things. You got to battle. You got to fight, right? And I'll get that in Galatians though. It talks about how the flesh and the spirit, they're contrary one against another. I think that's the 6th chapter. All right. Or is it the 5th chapter? Maybe it's 5 and 17? Yeah, here we go. Let me start at 16 though. Okay? But yeah, but you gotta constantly battle this flesh that you're in. You see? Constantly battle it. Because it's a never-ending war until Yahushua comes back. You can't give up. You can't get weak. You can't throw in the towel. No, you got to keep going. Keep rolling with the punches. You know, keep fighting. Hey, break them grips. You know what I'm saying? All right. But let me get this. This is Galatians 5:16. Then I say, then walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. All right. So, like I said, it's a constant battle. But it's something that you got to keep fighting and keep battling. And if you keep praying to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you keep, making adjustments, making improvements in this spiritual fight, the Lord's going to give you the victory. You see? Because look, the elect, they're not going to fall into the abyss, so to speak, right? They're not going to fall into obscurity. Hey, the Lord is going to constantly, keep picking us back up. Right? Like how he did with the Apostle Peter, right? When the Apostle Peter, he started, walking on water, he, got, distracted. He got afraid. He started to doubt, right? But as he was falling, Yahushai scooped him back up and picked him up. You see? And the Lord's going to do that for the entire elect. You see? But I'll say this, as the Lord picks you back up, right? You got to keep pushing and keep fighting. You got to keep making improvements, adjustments. You can't be the same man as before. All right? This thing is, serious. The Lord's not going to take that lightly if, he picked you up right after you were falling and you just went back into the madness again. You didn't even try to put up a fight. Hey, the Lord's going to spew you out of his mouth. He's going to give you that spiritual boot. And then you're absolutely through. You see? All right? Let me get this Ephesians 4 chapter. Let me get Ephesians 4. I'm going to start at 20. This is Ephesians 4 and 20. But ye have not learned, but ye have not so learned Yahushai. If so be that ye have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahushai, that ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man. And that word conversation goes into your conduct. I believe it's anastrophe in the Greek, okay? And that goes into how you move, how you act, right? How you do things. That's got to go, okay? And it says what? Which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. The flesh is wicked, man. Flesh is going to want you to do, evil, to be lazy, to not strive for perfection. You see? All right? I'm going to keep reading. It says, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that ye put on the new man, which after Yahweh is created in righteousness and true holiness. And that's what we need to do, okay? Become that new man, that new creature. You see? We got to be renewed in the spirit of our mind. All right? And there's so many things that brothers can work on. There's so much. Like I said, you have to pray to the Lord and ask for guidance and, have the Lord reveal what, you need to work on. Okay? And every brother's got a different, a walk, different path, different obstacles that they got to, overcome. You see? But at the end of the day, we're all in a fight right now. Okay? And we got to get better. I'm going to keep repeating that. We got to get better. We got to upgrade. We got to level up. You cannot be stagnant, man. All right. But, you know, this was just a little quick impromptu. Like I said, I was just, excuse me, across the street. And I was just, you know, inspired by, you know, like I said, my training from last night, and then my workout in the park right now. Just got me to thinking of how, you know, we got to continue to just elevate. You know, there's no point of staying at a low level. Like I said, I don't know what you brothers need to work on, but whatever it is, go fight it, go conquer it. All right? If we can do all things through Yahawashi HaMashiach, right? I think that's Philippians, the 4th chapter. Who strengthened me. Okay? We can do anything. We just got to, you know, pray to the Lord, put our mind to it. Work. Grind. Okay? So hopefully, you know, you brothers who, you know, whoever may be listening, right, you know, was edified. And with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Also, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And salutations to all you brothers out there. Shalom.